Beauties. Today we are moving on to bronzers. As you can see, I do not have a whole lot of bronzers, so you'll know by the title whether or not this is bronzers and highlighters, but I'm going to aim for the bronzers and the highlighters. I do have a plethora of highlighters. Clearly nobody needs this much, so let's take everything out. Y'all know the drill. We're going to go through every single one. We're going to swatch stuff and we are going to declutter. Here is our overview. I actually have more than I thought that I had, so we shall see what happens. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Thank you guys in advance for taking the time to come and watch. Let's get started. All right, I think I'm going to start with the couple I know for sure that I'm going to declutter solely because they are brand new and have not been used yet. I have this little teeny tiny Marc Jacobs Tan-tastic. And as you can see, it is still brand new. I do have the full size, so I will go ahead and pass this one along. I also have this Tarte one packaging, 10 out of freaking 10, I'm just saying. But this is the Park Ave Princess. And as you can see, it is brand new. I have not even swatched it yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one along. While I'm talking about that one, I am going to show what I believe to be an exact dupe. This is the Revolution Pro Sculpting Bronzer with cocoa extract. And in my opinion, this does the exact same thing as the Park Ave Princess. I have actually used the Park Ave Princess in the past. If you guys know, I do have very dry, dehydrated skin, so I love anything that has a nice, soft kind of sheen, lit from within glow. And this wears incredibly well, super duper affordable. I love the tone of it, and I love how it looks on the skin. All right, sorry about that. I don't know what I was saying, but anyways, I was saying this is a very affordable dupe to the Tarte one, so this one is going to stay. Another one I am sure I am decluttering solely because it's new and I have enough is this teeny tiny little Benefit Hoola bronzer. I like the Hoola Glow bronzer, but I never really felt like this one was, I guess, like intense enough or pigmented enough for me, so this one can go. And of course, I'm going to be keeping the Hoola Glow. This was a limited edition. I wish they would come back out with it. If you're familiar with like Sun Bunny, this is Sun Bunny vibes, like from Too Faced. I love this. This is literally one of my favorite bronzers. It's super, super beautiful. I love the way that it sets on the skin, and I also love the luminous quality that it has to it. That is kind of my vibe. Really love this, so that is definitely a keep. Next up is this cute little Visart or Viseart bronzer. I've only used this probably one time, and I, again, am trying to be pretty cutthroat here. Again, keeping things that I really, really love. You can see it has only been used 1 or 2 times. This is a little bit more of a dry formula of a bronzer. I do like the tone and everything of it. I just, again, I have enough, so I am also going to pass this along. Next up is this Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Bronzer in the shade Amber. This one is just not the right shade for me. You can see I've only used it just a couple of times. I tried to make it work for me. I felt like the texture and consistency and everything was okay. I just do not like the shade of this. That one is also going to go. Next up is this iconic London Sheer Bronze. It is obviously a liquid bronzer. And I just don't like the texture of this. It is like super duper watery. I also don't really care for the shade of this. And when I say like watery, it is almost like, it's got like a serumy slip to it, and it doesn't really set down in place on my skin at least. Yeah, that one's definitely gonna go. Next up is the Rare Beauty Bronzer Stick in Happy Soul. This is actually one of my favorites, and it is actually the one that I'm wearing today. I really like the tone and undertone of this. I like, hopefully you can see just out the gate, that it is incredibly pigmented, very opaque, and I love the tone of this so, so much. I love how it feels. It feels incredibly soft, almost velvet-like on the skin. And as you can see, literally effortlessly, it blends out. This is a beautiful, beautiful product. It lasts a long time on the skin. I love it. I think it is absolutely stunning, so I will 100% be keeping this one. Next up is the LYS Beauty, the No Limits Matte Bronzer in the shade Motivate or Light. This is another one that I really, really love. I love the tone of it. I love how it looks on the skin. It's, of course, one that's got a little like subtle glow to it. I really, really love this one as well. So we're going to hold on to this one. The one that I'm for sure keeping and is a new love, a new favorite for me, is the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is the airbrush bronzer in the shade 2 or medium. Excuse all them fingerprints. I will also try to hurry so that I am not blinding all of us. As you can see, massive, massive, massive compact. Like compared to some of the other ones that I have, it is enormous. This is so beautiful. I'm so happy that I love it because it was expensive. I did get it through the Sephora sale, but I love the regular powder so much that I thought I'd love this. Packaging, 10 out of 10. And the actual formula itself is that beautiful kind of soft, silky, buttery formula that I really love with a slight luminous quality to it. It wears really well on my skin. The tone and undertone is perfect for my skin, so I love this so much. So that is definitely a keep. The one that I very much love is the Catrice Sungasm Luminizing Bronzer. This is in the shade Golden Ecstasy. This is another favorite, and it is literally, it's a me type of bronzer. I love the tone of this. It is super pigmented, which I was very impressed by. And again, it has that beautiful kind of subtle glow that I love in my blushes and bronzers. And just to note too, obviously all this stuff may not work for everybody, and that's totally fine. We all have different wants, needs, preferences, dislikes, etc. So something that may work for me and may be a preference for me, you may not like. And guess what? That is just fine. But I am keeping this one. Next up is the Pink Honey BFF Bronzing Face Frosting. This is in the shade Cookie Butter. I have used this quite a bit with you guys. This is a more, hopefully you're seeing that, it's kind of taken me a second to kind of get it to move around. It is a little bit more of a dense, thick, and more opaque type of formulation. And I typically have to underpaint when I use this. I used it consistently over the summer. I have plenty of videos using this. But it is a little bit too warm for me and a little bit too deep. So for that reason, I do have to underpaint with it. But I am telling you, this lasts so long on my skin, and it dries down and kind of mattifies a little bit, but not so much that it becomes heavy or creasy or cakey or anything like that. Like, it still looks really beautiful on my skin. I think I'm going to hold on to it, even though I know I can't really use it until summertime, but I just love the formula and the long wearability so much. And that is super important to me, so I'm also keeping this one. Another new find and new favorite is the Moira Cosmetics Signature Bronzer in Sun-Kissed Honey. Very affordable. I did do a full face with Moira Cosmetics, and I was absolutely blown away. This and the blush were definite standouts for me. I like that I can kind of pick up either of these shades, or I can blend them all together. It blends really well and it lasts a long time on my skin, and of course is affordable as heck, so I will take it. This is definitely a keep. Another keep for me, and solely for nostalgic purposes, is the ColourPop blush. It's supposed to be a blush in the shade Jet Set. I typically have used this as like a bronzer or bronzer topper because it is definitely too deep for me as a blush. You can also see I'm getting a tiny bit of hard pan here. I honestly got this because my son has loved giraffes since he was basically born and was a baby. And it was like one of his first stuffed animals, things like that. So I know it's really stupid and I don't hold on to too many things. You guys know that I have zero connection to my makeup at all. I'm all for just a minimalistic, I love everything that I have type of collection. But there are a few things that I refuse to get rid of, and this is one of them for now. So keeping this one. Next up is my full-size Marc Jacobs Tan-tastic bronzer, and this is a love, and believe it or not, I have used this and used this and used this, and you cannot tell. I love the formula of this. It is incredibly smooth. I like the level of, pigment or opacity that it has. It looks really beautiful on the skin. Again, that nice little lit from within quality, and it smells like coconut, so yes, please. I do not think that they make this anymore, but I really love it. It is also a humongous compact, so this is going to last somebody literally a lifetime. So definitely holding on to this one as well. Another more affordable option, and one that I really, really love, is this LA Girl Matte Bronzer in the shade Sunset Glow. I love that this is, first of all, affordable. It's also humongous, like the Marc Jacobs one, but I can use it when I am more light in the fall and winter months, or I can amp it up when I'm a little bit, warmer and more tan in the spring and summer months. And it builds up well, it layers nicely, it wears incredibly well, so definitely going to keep this one as well. Next up is a Kiko Milano bronzer. This is the Dark Treasure All-in-One bronzer in medium to dark. And as you can see, it's literally what it says it is. It's got, you know, medium to deep type bronzers in here. I'm gonna go ahead and say, which I believe it's a more Korean brand, so they kind of geared more toward lighter skin or fair skin. This is not deep. I am like medium to tan in the summertime, and this is not even dark enough for me in the summertime. Solely because it is older, I actually think I'm gonna toss this up. I have the NARS Laguna bronzer. I think because it is literally basically like every other bronzer that I have. As far as tonally and as far as having that nice sheen to it, and I obviously have enough, I am going to go ahead and declutter. The next up is this PS Bronze Glow in the shade Fearless. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one solely because it is a more matte formula. That's literally the only thing, and I've only used it one time, so it can definitely get some more love. So we'll go ahead and declutter. Next up is this Complex Culture bronzer in the shade Just Right. It is literally the same thing. Why do I need this many, you guys? I think I used it one time. It is the same kind of similar tone and the same type of like lit from within glowy type of formula. I have plenty of these, so again, I'm going to declutter. Next up is another one that I am just going to toss. This is the Mented Cosmetics bronzer in Beach Bum. First of all, I want to say how teeny tiny as far as like being super thin this is. I love that. I love the packaging. It's nice and weighted, and it's like a soft like matte velvet touch. But I was using this for quite a while when I first got it, if I can open it for y'all, as y'all can see. But it's just old. It is much older now, and I do not feel comfortable using it. So this one I am going to toss. But it is incredibly pigmented and very long lasting. Incredibly pigmented, really beautiful formula. I really love this, but again, it is a little bit older and I have plenty, so I'm going to end up tossing this one. Next up is another drugstore favorite. This is the e.l.f. bronzer in Forever Sun Kissed. Also very nice and soft and smooth and buttery, kind of along the same lines. It's a little bit lighter than some of the other ones are, so I'll definitely hold on to this. Next up is this Jaclyn Cosmetics blush and bronzer duo in Warm Flush and Golden Goddess. I specifically went to my local Marshalls to find this. I did find it. I'm holding on to it. I have said this before. This, in my personal opinion, this and her highlighters and stuff like that are the closest, in my opinion, that you can get to Hourglass formula. Absolutely stunning. They wear well. They're super beautiful. They build well. They layer well. They're incredible. I love the texture of these so much, and I literally paid $7 for it, so I'm holding on to that for sure. And then last up, I'll do all these little cream products together. I have this little Tarte one right here. I literally think I only swatched it or maybe used it one time. I don't always use these. I'd rather go with like cream blush and then do a powder bronzer. That's personal preference, but I do like these. I just don't use them as often. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Next up is this ColourPop Beachin Super Shock bronzer in matte, in the matte formulation. This very much is loved, as you can tell. I actually really do like this one a whole lot, and I also underpaint with this one as well. And as you can see, you know, I'm kind of not struggling, but it's definitely a thicker, more dense, kind of rich, intense formula. Very opaque, but it also blends out really well. And it's matte without looking matte on the skin, if that makes any sense. Like, it will set down, but it still has a very skin-like quality to it, as opposed to being super drying or, you know, kind of causing texture or anything like that. This one I think I will keep. I've used it a lot, especially in the summertime, so I'll hold on to that one for now. I also have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer in the shade Honey Drip. This one is pretty much kind of like the same type of vibe. A little bit more, as you can see, I'm trying to kind of get in here, a little bit more matte. I actually feel like I prefer the warmth here a little bit more with the ColourPop, so I think I'll go ahead and declutter this one. And then last up is the Lower East Side in the shade Skyscraper. I think I got this in like a BoxyCharm or something like that. This is kind of like that same vibe, a little bit more matte, a little bit thicker. This one to me is a little bit too thick. This one's almost where I'm kind of, it kind of sticks in place, if that makes any sense. Like, it is a true matte formulation. If you have oily skin, I think you would love this. So I'm also going to declutter this. Let me get the totals for the bronzers. We're going to dive into highlighters. This might be a long one, so go grab a snack, go grab a drink. I'll be RB.
Okay, we are keeping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Keeping 13.
And we are decluttering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
And I actually decided to go ahead and declutter my LYS one. I just feel like I have enough. That means I kept 13 and I'm decluttering 15, which is half or more than half, which was my goal. On to the highlighters. Okay. Here's the overview of all of the highlighters. Oh my gosh. I'm going to admit too, I already said I'm not connected to anything, but for some reason I have a hard time with highlighters. I don't know. Y'all just gonna have to forgive me. I guess I'll start right here. I already know I'm gonna declutter this. This is a Cover Effects highlighting palette that I got in a subscription box. And as you can see, it came to me completely shattered. This one I had to just completely dump out. This one I repressed as best as I could, and that one looked okay still. But yeah, I have enough. I was so excited to get this in my box and then realized that it was shattered, and I was so sad, and all they gave me was a credit, but I don't need it. We're gonna go ahead and pass it along. Next up, I will go ahead and declutter this one as well. This is the Becca Collector's Edition, the Shimmering Skin Perfector in Champagne Pop. I clearly have enough, and as beautiful as this is, I have not opened it, swatched it, nothing, so I am going to go ahead and declutter this, but this is, of course, an OG favorite. Next up, I think I'll go ahead and do the few Fenty products that I have. This is the highlighter in Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey, and I really love this formula so much. This is more suited for summertime when I am a little bit more tan, but I love the formula of this. As you can see, very high shine, very glass-like, super beautiful, but they also sit well on the skin and they do not emphasize texture on me. I really love this formula, so this is a keep. Next up is the shade Hustler Baby. This has a little bit more of kind of a peachiness to it. Really love this one as well. I think I'm going to hold on to this one because I really love the formula of this, and if I have any more that are kind of more peachy, then obviously I probably don't need those, so I'm going to go ahead and keep. Next up, I have two loose highlighters. I have one from JD Glow and Empress Me. I do have a code with both that is REWE10, solely for the purpose that I just don't use loose pigments very often and loose powders. I'm going to go ahead and declutter both of these, but if you really like this type of formula, then I think you would absolutely love them, but we're going to go ahead and declutter. And I dove into the Fenty and totally didn't show this one. This is the How Many Carats Diamond Balm. I really love this, but because of the formulation of this, I kind of prefer it for like an eyeshadow. As you can see, it has like some sparkle and stuff. That is not my preference for highlighters, but this as an inner corner highlight, this all over the lid, this on top of any other shade is absolutely exquisite. I mean, it literally, Diamond Balm is the most beautiful, perfect name you could give this. So I don't like it as a highlighter personally, but for an eyeshadow, oh my gosh, is it stunning? We are definitely keeping this one. Next up, I'll go into the Ofra highlighters. I have the Glow Goals and the Everglow highlighters. I've used the heck out of these. They are a beautiful formula, very impactful, very high shine, very smooth on the skin. But I do not use these as often, and if I'm going to keep one, I think I'd rather keep this one right here. It was the All of the Lights, but I stuck the Rodeo Drive in here, and that is what this one looks like. This is also a little bit more kind of my color preference, if you will, but these are absolutely stunning. They last a long time on the skin, and they're beautiful and kind of beaming, but they don't accentuate texture or anything like that, and it's not glittery or shimmery or anything like that. It just looks like wet skin. They're beautiful, but I'm going to go ahead and declutter the other two and keep this one. Next up is this little Shades by Shan highlighter in the shade Irma. Not really my vibe, not really my preference, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this, but of course I will show you guys a swatch. Next up is this little Becca Actually, that's a bronzer. It's a sunlit bronzer in the shade Capri Coast. Clearly I kept enough. I'll go ahead and declutter this. My bad, y'all. Next up is this absolutely stunning highlighter from Clarity Cosmetics in the shade Pressure. I did order this, and when I got it in, I was like, oh no, I done and messed up because I'm going to absolutely hate this. And I'll show you why. And then it became a love. I'm sure you can see by all of the mica and all the glitters and stuff kind of getting everywhere. It is incredibly sparkly. Tons and tons of sparkles, which you guys already know, that is not my preference. I like lit from within. I like wet, high shine, but I do not like sparkle or shimmer or glitter or anything like that. But when you go to blend this out, it just becomes this beautiful, very impactful highlighter. And you don't see necessarily like the shimmer or glitter on there in the way that you do when it's kind of at its, you know, full punchiness, so to speak. So at first I did not like that, but as I blended it in, and you do have to kind of finagle it just a little bit and get it blended into the skin if you are somebody like me and you don't like a ton of sparkle, but oh my gosh, is it beautiful. So definitely gonna hold on to this one. Next up is a Holy Grail product. This is the Flexitarian Super Shock Highlighter from ColourPop. And this is, oh my gosh, beautiful. As wet and high shine and glass-like as you can get, that is this particular highlighter. I press it out with my fingers and blend it in and kind of tap across it like this on the high points of the face. And it is absolutely stunning. It feels incredibly soft, very lightweight on the skin, and you can see it is beaming, incredibly beaming. But it does not emphasize texture, and it is very, very long lasting on the skin. And of course, it is affordable, so we are definitely keeping this one. Next up is the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Highlighter. I actually thought this was a lipstick when I got it in my box, and I was gonna attempt to try it on for you guys as a lipstick, but then I realized that it was not a lipstick. This is so freaking beautiful. I love the tone of it. I love the applicator and everything else to it. You cannot push it back down, just noting that for you guys. And these are not always my preference, but the way that this blends out and the way that it feels on the skin, just the tone of it and everything, it's so beautiful. Definitely a little bit more kind of subdued than some of the other ones that I've shown you. So if you're looking for something like that, especially I think if you have more mature dry skin like myself, I think you'd really love it. So we're definitely holding on to this one. Next up is this little mini Third Date blush from The Balm. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter. I obviously kept enough. I do not need this. Next up is the Moira highlighter in the shade Reckless Love. This is a new release for them. I do have a full face of Moira Cosmetics up on my channel. I really, really love this. I actually had the Rare Beauty one, and this is a spot-on dupe, but I like it more. It's a little bit more subtle than that one, which is why I like this more than the Rare Beauty one. That Rare Beauty one, y'all, I know people swear by it, but I hated it. It was super beaming and bright, but it also emphasized the heck out of my texture, and it did not sit well on my skin. So if you're looking for something like that and maybe that did not work for you like me, highly recommend this one, and it's like $7 or $8. Definitely going to hold on to this one. Next up, I have the Kokie Soft Glow highlighter in the shade Heavenly. I think I'm going to declutter this one solely because I have plenty and they all kind of gear toward the same type of formulation and stuff like that. And they all, honestly, most of these, you guys, are going to be about the same type of thing. They're going to be like, you know, a softer light gold, a more neutrally gold, a light champagne shade. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one solely because I have plenty, but another beautiful, really affordable brand, very high quality, really, really love it, but we have too much. Next up is the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter. This is Beyond Golden Glow, literally like a $3 highlighter, and it's basically the same thing as the Kokie one. Again, it's, you know, kind of very similar to my preference. This one is extremely full, extremely high shine, very beautiful on the skin, does not emphasize texture. I think I'm also going to hold on to this one because I do want to have a mixture of low end, you know, drugstore, high end, etc. So really beautiful, also very, very affordable, definitely a keep. Next up, I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter both of these. This is the Give by Gwen Stefani, the Check My Glow highlighter. I did get the colorway Platinum Cowgirl. I was a little bit disappointed by this one, you guys. I got it in the Sephora sale. I love Gwen. I love the packaging. I loved the concept of this. it's just a little bit too light for me. And this is a little bit more of kind of a drier formula, if that makes any sense, if it'll focus, thank you. It's just a little bit more of a dry type of formula, so it doesn't look as good or blend out as well and kind of give me that wet glass-like look that I appreciate and like. So I'm so sad to say that I didn't really care for this. I am going to declutter. Next up is this Illamasqua highlighter. This is the Beyond Powder highlighter in the shade, I haven't got a clue. I guess it's, oh my god. This is really, really beautiful, but the Dior is very similar to this. Like I have a couple more that are very similar to this. And again, I'm trying to not keep a ton of stuff around and be wasteful. I did get some use out of this. This is kind of that more like baked type of formula. It does also have like little teeny tiny little micas in it, which obviously you guys know by now is not my preference. So for that reason, I'm also going to declutter this one. Next up is the Ciate London highlighter in the shade Moon Dust. This is another one that very much reminds me of like the Clarity one. Not quite as messy, not quite as like sparkly and like mica filled, I guess you could say. Very beautiful, definitely kind of like the tone that I really, really love. I think I am going to hold on to this one, but I feel like if I keep any more than this, then I may end up decluttering this. And I bought this in like the Boxy shop or pop-up or whatever it was, but it's so freaking beautiful. And I'd like to get some more use out of it. I think I've only used it one time, so I'll go ahead and keep. Next up is a new favorite. I also got this in the Sephora sale. It is the Bobbi Brown Highlight Powder in Pink Glow. And I am not going to lie, I'm not typically a fan of more pinky highlighters, but there's like a champagne-y kind of goldness to this, if you will. So to me, it doesn't really come across as pink, but hopefully you can see just how beautiful this is. Very, very high shine, but also very smooth on the skin. It blends out really well. You can really punch it up, and it does not emphasize texture. Highly, highly recommend. I love this. I'm so happy that I picked this up. Next up, I have these three. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep the Alamar Cosmetics one. I really, really love this one. This is also kind of that like harder, more baked type of formula. Incredibly smooth, really, really beautiful, very high shine, and of course, you know, my color that I really love. Next up, we have the NOMAD Cosmetics. I think I am going to go ahead and declutter this one solely because it's a little bit light and it's not typically the shade that I like, so that can go. I'm also going to declutter this little mini Huda Beauty Light Glow Obsessions palette solely because, as you can see, I really only got into these two, and this one even is just a little bit light on me, so really, I was using it for this. And I don't want to hold on to things that I know I'm not going to get the use out of. It is also a little bit more, I think you can probably tell, as far as like the opacity and stuff like that, it's a thicker textured type of highlighter, so it also doesn't look the best on my skin, so that one can also go. Next up, and I will try to hurry, I know it's super bright, this is the Be Perfect Polar Vortex in Frosted. I'm going to go ahead and declutter. As you can probably see, it is also another one that's more goldy champagne-y, but this one also has a lot of sparkles in it. Not my favorite, and I've already kept a couple that are very similar to this. But if you're looking for a more affordable one and you do like a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more kind of shimmer kind of peeking through, I think you'd really love it, but we're going to go ahead and pass it along. Another one I think I'm going to go ahead and pass along is the Pat McGrath Labs. This is the Skin Fetish in Golden Nectar. This is another one, as you can probably see, that has just a little bit more like sparkle and kind of glitters to it. And I've only used it a couple of times. I think I can go ahead and pass this one along. I feel like I've kept enough, so that one can go. Next up is a new find for me. I got this at the TJ Maxx when I found the Blush and Bronzer Duo. This is the Mesmerized Highlighter. And this is a kind of softer, more peachy shade. Again, not always my preferred color, but I really do like this. Again, I love her formula. I think it is stunning. I think it is right up there with the Hourglass formula, so I'll hold on to this one. I'm debating on this one because I know that I've kept quite a few. This is the Amrezy highlighter. They did sell this out and then they brought it back one time, I think, after that. This is another one that is a more like firm baked type of formula. Very, very pretty, very long lasting on the skin. I think I'm going to put this in my maybe pile and just kind of see what else I'm keeping because I don't need to keep this many. You guys know I'm really trying to get my collection down to a small curated collection so I can use everything and not have a million things that I've used once or twice. So this is in the maybe pile for now. Next up is this head wig. This is a Super Shock highlighter. I don't even know why I got this, or maybe I got like a mystery bag or something. Definitely not even my colors or anything like that, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this along. Next up is another favorite. This very much reminds me of the same formulation as like EMPRESS. It is the Dior Quad 02 Glitz. And I've gotten quite a bit of use out of this. I really, really love this. I love the texture and consistency of this. And I like that kind of throughout the year, depending on how, you know, light or tan I am, I can use it literally year round. You can see how beautiful this is. And it lays on my skin beautifully. Very high shine, but also very smooth. And you can take a less is more approach or really punch them up. Highly recommend. Also something that I got on the Sephora sale, I think last year. And I'm a stickler for that too. I typically try my best to not pay full price for anything, but I'm definitely going to hold on to this. I think with that being said, I will go ahead and declutter the EMPRESS one. So that one's going to be decluttered. And then we're down to our last few, you guys. I do have this Hourglass, the Ambient Strobe palette. I'm so sorry about the shininess and the brightness, y'all. Are the 3 shades. I really, really love this formula as well. And I also like that with this one, I can kind of also use it year round. This sits so incredibly well on mature skin. Super, super beautiful. It's another one that I also got from a Sephora sale like last year, maybe year before that. So I'm going to hold on to that. Next up is another OG favorite. This is the Molten Glow Highlighter from JOUER. I do have a discount code with JOUER. It is the Brutally Honest Beauty for 15% off. I think, even though this is super, super beautiful, and as you can see, incredibly beaming, incredibly smooth, very, very high shine, I feel like I have enough, and I have enough like in this shade range, so I'll go ahead and declutter. Next up is the only other like pinky toned highlighter that I have. It is the Benefit Cookie Highlighter, and I love this. You can see I've used it a ton. It is absolutely stunning, very, very smooth, and yes, it's pink, but it has a little bit of like neutrality to it because of that little bit of like a level of almost like champagne neutrality to it. That's the only way I can describe it. But I really, really love it. Another one that really lasts a long time on my skin, sets beautifully on the skin, does not enhance texture. Really love that, so I'll hold on to that. And last, oh my gosh, but certainly not least, is the OYS highlighter, the Aim High highlighter in the shade Brave or Champagne. And I dug my freaking nail into it one day when I was filming, I believe, with you guys, as a matter of fact. Let me get a clean finger. This is another one that is super, super beautiful. Very beaming, very high shine, and I'm sure you can probably tell like the opacity here is a little bit more, so it definitely lasts on the skin a little bit longer. I feel like, even though I feel like this is the light shade, I feel like for right now, being in the colder months, it's a little too deep. So I'm also going to go ahead and declutter this. Holy goodness, let me count everything up. I'll let you know how many I decluttered, how many I kept. But thank you guys so, so much for being here. I will be RB. Look at my freaking pretty little hands. Oh my gosh, I'll be right back.
We are decluttering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
So we're decluttering 20.
And I'm keeping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
So decluttering 20, keeping 16. I think I did a great job. What do you guys think? My goal was to get rid of at least half in both of the categories, trying to keep everything compact. And I want to see everything I have, you guys. I don't want things laying on top of each other. I want to see and love and use everything that I have. That is super important to me. I'm on the path of the minimalistic collection. And just to let you guys know, if you are not a minimalist, if you want to have the biggest collection in the entire world, that is your prerogative, that is your right, that is up to you. You do what makes you feel like the best version of yourself. Thank you, beauties, so much for joining me. I love you. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. And of course, be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.